Okay, so the strategy is the same. There are two possibilities as I discussed. One is that the load is acting in this region to the left of section 1,1, and the other possibility is that the load is acting in the other region. So let's consider the load acting in this region. Let's call the distance x1 as the distance of section 1,1 from the left end, and x as the distance of unit load. Now, in this particular case, in this diagram, we can see that x is less than x1. So the equations, the resulting equations would be valid for this scenario, x less than x1. Now you can see that you can easily determine these reactions. If you just cut a section over here, before cutting a section, you can find the directions at both ends of the beam, and then knowing those directions, as we have done already before, knowing those directions, you can find out the shear force and bending moment at these locations. We have called those shear force and bending moments as Vx1 and Mx1. Now Vx1 is equal to whatever the expression becomes is x over L, and then Mx1 equal to this expression. These expressions are valid for x between 0 and x1 because we can see the x is just so the load is on this side of the beam, so the x is less than x1, of course greater than 0. So between 0 and x1, these are the expressions for the ILD. So it means if you keep on putting the values of x in this expression, for example in this expression, if you put the value of 0, you get 0. This is why you see at x equal to 0, the shear force ordinate, the ILD for shear force at x for this location is 0. Similarly, you can keep on plotting until you reach the value of x1. Similarly for bending moment at x1. And in the second scenario, we can see that the load can be on the other side of the section 1,1. So if load is acting over here, x would be this distance. Now this time x is greater than x1. And again, you can find out the shear force and bending moment at these locations, and these are the equations in terms of x, where x is the distance of the unit load. Now, of course, these equations, as I mentioned, are valid for x between x1 and L. Now, if you plot these equations, you can see that, let me show you the plots. Let's say this is the 0, 0 line. Then looking at the first equations, let's say these equations, you can see that it's a first degree line, x over L, and let's say this location, let's define the location x1. Let's say this is x1. Now at this location, now you see up to this point in this region, you can use this expression. Vx1 equal to x over L. Now if you see, this would be a very simple line starting at 0, this will be 0, and then all the way at x. So if you put x equal to x1, you're just to the left of A. If you put a value of x that is approaching to x1 but slightly lesser than x1, because this equation is not valid for x exactly equal to x1. So if you put a value of x that is approaching to x1, the Vx1 would be approaching to x1 over L. So you can plot it over here, maybe it's a straight line like this. Now this ordinate is x1 over L, and this equation is x over L. Now if you look at the second part of the shear force, the second part of the ILD, this is the equation for that. If you put a value of x which is not equal to x1 but just slightly greater than x1 in a limiting sense, for example, if x1 is 2, if you put x equal to 2.0001 in this equation, you can see that the answer would be -1 plus x1 over L, and the general expression is like this. You feel like you can further simplify this to maybe x minus L over L. So the second part of the equation would be somewhat like this. Let me draw a straight line. Now let me show you how the equation should look like, because it's a straight line. In order to plot a straight line, you only need to plot 2 points and then join them by a straight line. Now if you put x equal to, let's say, L in this expression, you will see that L minus L goes to 0 and the whole expression is equal to 0. It means at this point the ordinate would be 0. Now if you see the ordinate at x1, if you put x equal to x1 in this expression, it will be equal to x1 minus L over L. Or you can say in this form, you can say minus 1 plus x1 over L, or x1 over L minus 1. So what do you think? Would it be a positive quantity or negative quantity if you put x1 equal to L? X1. Because this answer is definitely going to be less than 1. And this is 1, it means the overall answer would be a negative answer, and that means it will be somewhere over here. So these are the this is the ILD, and what do you see over here? Just at the x1 equal to L, a jump in the ILD. Okay. That jump actually means that there are two regions, there are two different equations governing the two lines, and this is what exactly that jump actually means. So let me just show you that the equation for this line is, let me see the equation, x minus L over L. So this line is x minus L over L. Okay, so let's now look at the ILD for bending moment. So we have already write the equations for the mx1 in terms of the distance x. So you can see this distance. So you can see this expression. This is for x between 0 and x1. So I can see that the equation can be further simplified, but let's look at the equation in the way it looks like right now. So so this is how the expression should look like. We can maybe further simplify it a little bit. Equal to 1 minus x, or maybe I can write L minus x over L times x1 minus x1 plus x. Whatever you like. You can further maybe say x1 is a common from these equations, so you may say L minus x over L minus 1 times x1 plus x, or whatever expression you think is better, you can write that down. What do you think? Is it a single degree line, first degree line equation in terms of x, or a second degree line? What is the degree of this equation? First degree in terms of x. It means you are again expecting a straight line, and that means you only need to plot 2 points and then join them by a straight line in order to plot this. So let's put x equal to 0. If you put x equal to 0 in this expression, what do you think would be the answer? L minus L would be 1, 1 minus 1, 0. Agree? And this is also 0, so 0. You will be starting with, let's draw the ILD for bending moment. So again, this is the x1 location for which we are drawing the bending moment, for which this is the location at which the bending moment is being considered all the time. So you start with you start with this point, okay, and then you have to draw so then you have to put x equal to x1. So if you put x equal to x1 in this expression, what do you think would be the answer? L minus x1 over L, or maybe I can use the previous one because this seems to be a little more bulky. So if you put x equal to x1 in this expression, what do you think will be the answer? 1 minus x1 over L times x1 minus x1 minus x1. So this goes to 0, and the expression would be like this, x1. Now, what do you think? Anyways, so I mean, you can get any answer depending upon the value of x1 and L. So you can plot this point, but just to tell you whether it would be a positive quantity or negative quantity. X1 cannot be greater than, let's look at this in a different way, maybe. So this is 1 minus x1 over L times x1. Now x1 cannot be a negative quantity. Agree? Because a distance x1 has to be something between 0 and L. So it's a positive quantity. It means this is something positive. This is something positive. Agree? Now depending upon whether x1 is larger than 1 or smaller than 1, you'll be getting a positive or negative answer. But anyways, if you plot the general shape of this equation, it would be somewhat like this. Straight line. Wherever the ordinate, second ordinate falls, you'll just join that point over here. And the problem in this case is that x1 is not a numerical value, and we're treating x1 as, x1 only. So it's not a numerical value, so you cannot really find the actual ordinate at this point. But this is how the shape should look like. And then looking at the second part of the equation for this second region, if you look at the bending moment, the equation for mx1, you see again it's supposed to be a straight line because it's a first degree line in terms of x. So if you put x equal to L in this expression, you get 1 minus 1, which becomes 0. Again, it means you will be ending up over here. And then you only need to see the value for, maybe just put x equal to x1 in this expression. What do you get? 1 minus x1 over L times x1, and this is the same answer you get from the previous equation. It means there is no jump in the ILD for bending moment. So this point coincides with the previous point, and you just join them by a straight line. Agree? All right, so this is the basic way of drawing shear force and bending moment diagram. You can see the discussion in this. This is chapter number 3, and this you should be able to find these topics over here. Now let's look at the beam we considered so far was a simply supported beam, and now let's look at a beam which is not simply supported, but it's again a determinate beam. Agree? Look at this beam. The degree of indeterminacy is 0. How do you get to know that? If there is no hinge in this beam, what would be the degree of indeterminacy, static indeterminacy? 1. And in the inclusion of a hinge makes it a determinate structure. Okay, so it's a determinate structure, and now what we have seen is that for determinate structures, the degree of the equation was always equal to 1, which means we always have straight lines in the ILD for determinate beams. This is a very important fact. It makes the drawing of the ILD quite simple. Agree? Because if you know it's supposed to be a straight line, you just need to know the endpoints of that straight line and join them by a straight line. So now let's look at this beam. This is the given beam, 2 span with a hinge at the midpoint of the second span. Determine the influence line for the vertical direction and bending moment at B. So vertical direction at B and bending moment at B. You need to draw the influence line for these two things, for these two load effects. Vertical direction at B and bending moment at B. Conceptually, what does it mean? You need to place unit load at different locations, and every time you have to find these two quantities, vertical direction at B and bending moment at B. And then finally you can plot them. But of course, that's a lengthy way of doing it. So the easiest way is to consider you just need to consider the regions that would be included in your ILD. For example, in the previous case, we have seen that there were 2 regions for shear force and bending moment. There were 2 possibilities basically. So in this case, you can see, let's start drawing it. Now I would expect you that you are able to determine directions. I'm expecting you at this stage that if you are given a determinate beam with a hinge, you are able to determine the directions. The strategy in this case would be, I'm talking about how to find the directions, because once you know the direction, you should be able to find the shear force or bending moment, whatever is required. So for this, the strategy for finding the directions in this beam would be, whatever the loading is, you cut a section over here and draw free body diagram of the CD span. And that's free body diagram. Let me take this beam to my OneNote. So the strategy I was discussing for finding the direction of this beam would be, cut a section over here. This is CD. You will have a reaction from the rotor support on this side, and you will have an internal force, shear force, over here. You can expect that it would be directed this way or there, whatever the direction is, but you will have a shear force over here. If you want to show it in the positive direction, this is the positive direction. But anyways, whatever the direction is, you will find the actual value of the force existing over here. So this is how you should be doing it. What about the bending moment at this location? No, I'm talking about whether there would exist any internal force, any bending moment at a hinge. They cannot resist relative rotation between the segments it connects. It's an internal hinge connection. So it does not produce any bending moment. There's no bending moment at a hinge. So, there's nothing over here. What that means is, you can find these two directions. This is a direction, and you can find this force. This is the shear force. Once you know this shear force, you can then draw the free body diagram of the other segment of the beam, AB. At A, you have a vertical direction. At B, again, you have another vertical direction. And this force, for example, if this force was found to be, just to give you an idea, if this was a 5 kip force in upward direction, this will be shown over here like this. 5 kip, but in the opposite direction. This is what I think what we have been discussing so far. So let's call this as VC, maybe, whatever you like. So you'll be able to find these two directions because you know this force, the direction, its magnitude. So this is how you will be finding out those reactions every time. Now this is RA, this is RB, and this is RD. Now if the load is applied, if the load is in this region of the beam, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, sorry. If it is somewhere over here, over here or maybe over here, and in all those cases, you will see that CD's part of the beam remains unloaded. There is no load in this region. If the load is acting, the unit load is acting over here or anywhere over here, just to the, until the point C, you will see that these two would be zero. It's like a beam with no load. If there is a beam like this, those two reactions should be zero because there is no load, so those should be no reactions. So, these two reactions would be zero for all the cases when the load is on ABC. So you can see, so when the unit load is when the unit load is in ABC region, RD in those cases is always zero. Agree? Now, when RD is zero, if this reaction is zero, this VC will also be equal to zero if the load is acting in the ABC region. Now it means you need to find out, so if the load is in AB region, let me show you, or I can get these from here. So in these cases, the load is in ABC region. In this case, it is in AB region. In this region, the load, and in this case, it is in between B and C. But in both cases, it is within that ABC region. So we have seen that. So when it is in between ABC region, somewhere in ABC region, the RD is always 0. You can see this over here. When RD is 0, you can find out the two directions very easily. Okay. And VC is also 0. So these are the equations that you can develop in terms of x, because the load is acting at distance x, so the directions have to be in terms of distance x, RA and RB. In both cases, you can find out these directions. Now this is distance is L, and then this is 0.5 L, and this is 0.5 L. Keep these things in your mind. Okay, so you can see that in both cases, you have same expressions for RA and RB. Agree? It means that RA is equal to x over L and RB is equal to 1 minus x over L when this is true. Agree? Okay, okay, fine, you're right. RA would be 1 minus x over L, and this would be x over L. Agree. Now it's fine. So, and RD would be 0. You can see RD would be 0. So these three reactions are, I mean, we have single equation governing these reactions, the values of these reactions. So when the beam is when the load is on ABC region, so when the load, so when x is between 0 and 1.5 L, these are the equations defining RA, RB, and RD. Okay, when the load is applied just to the hinge, it is just an extreme case of this situation. Again, RD remains 0. Just extreme case of the previous discussion. So when the load is exactly at the hinge, RD is still 0, because the only way you can produce some RD would be that the load just enters the CD span. So RD is still 0, and these are the reactions RA and RB. Okay. You can get these reactions by putting x equal to 1.5 in these expressions. If you put x equal to 1.5 over here, what do you get? Sorry, 1.5 L. When you put x equal to 1.5 L, what should you get? Look, 1 minus. Okay, you're right, you're right. You should get minus 0.5, which means this. And when you put x equal to 1.5 L in this case, you should get what? 1.5. This is what you see over here. This is the extreme case of the previous range of values for x. And then RD would still be equal to 0, because if you put x equal to 1.5 or whatever, your RD should still be equal to 0 until the x remains within this range. Now the next case is when the load is in the CD region, in this region. In that case, you can still find the reactions, but you will see that none of the reactions in that case would be 0. If the load is on CD span, somewhere over here, you can apply the same strategy. This is CD, you have a load over here, you should be able to find these two forces, and with these two forces known, you should be able to find, you can assume it acting upward, but later on you may find out that it happens to be acting downward. So you can again RA, RB, with this load known, you should be able to find these two values. And these are the final results. I mean, just you can see over here, RD will be equal to this, and RA and RB are all given in terms of x. So this is just the basic process of finding reactions in a beam with a hinge. वहाँ पे क्यों reaction develop हो रहे हैं? Look at this. This is C and this is D. You have a reaction over here and an internal force over here. Agree? Now, this reaction happens to be 2 times minus 1.5 plus x over L. This is what the reaction is. So you will have a certain value for VC also over here. I'm not sure what the value would be, but this is how the value you should have some value of VC. Now, if you draw this side of the beam, I mean, this was the section to the right of this, and if you draw just to the left of this section, this is A. Let's assume it upward. You can then find out whether it's actually upward or downward. And since you have a shear force, internal force, this force acting over here, this will be able to produce some reaction over here and as well as some reaction over here. Because the hinge is able to connect those two segments, so a load at one segment produces reactions in the other segments. All right, so in all cases, you should be able to find a reaction, the expression for RA, RB, and RD in terms of X. Once you have those expressions, you will be able to plot them. And these are straight lines. That means you only need to consider two extreme points. Let's see how those ILDs now look like. Now let's look at these. This is the given beam. And let's first pick the RD from here, or maybe I can pick this. Okay, now let's verify these things from our equations. So these are the expressions governing the values of the reactions RA and RB, you can see, and also RD for this range of X. So it means it's a straight line, so you just have to plot the extreme two values. I mean, you put X equal to 0 and the second time you put X equal to 1.5 L. So when you put X equal to 0 for RA, what is the answer? 1. It means for RA, this ordinate should be 1. And then let's look at RB. When you put X equal to 0, you get 0. This is why the ILD for RB starts with 0. And similarly, RD would be 0 no matter what value of X you use between this from somewhere from this range. So RD also starts from 0. All right. And it remains 0 for all this range. You can see from here. For all this range of all the values of X between 0 and 1.5 L, RD remains 0. So you see a flat line, 0 line up to this point. All right. And then let's look at their values when the X is equal to 1.5 L. So you just put X equal to 1.5 L in these expressions. And we have just seen these things before. When you put X equal to 1.5 L, this becomes minus 0.5. So it means at this location, and RB, RA, this should be minus 0.5. Now, once you have located this point, minus 0.5, you can join it with the previous point with a straight line. Agree? All right. So, similarly, you can look at this one. 1.5 L अगर आप put करेंगे यहाँ पे, क्या आंसर बनेगा? 1.5. It means if you look at our ILD for RB, this should be 1.5. And you join it with the previous point with a straight line. And you're done with this part of the ILD. And then similarly for RD, we have just seen it remains a flat line for all the values of X between 0 and 1.5 L. So now let's look at the second part of the CD region, where when the load is in CD region, these are the equations defining RA, RB, and RD. Now, one thing you can see, in any beam, when you apply the load exactly at that reaction, I mean at that support, I mean if I place a load at R at this location, all of the load will be transferred to this support. So if I place unit load at A, there will be a unit reaction at A, and all other reactions will be 0. It means you're just pressing the beam at that location and you're not producing any other force in the beam. You're just pressing the beam at that location. Getting it? It means all other quantities would be zero. No shear force at any other location, no bending moment, no other reaction will be produced. You will have only, now let's verify this. If you place a load somewhere over here, all other quantities except RA would be, except RA, all other quantities would be zero. Now let's verify this. RB is zero, RD is zero, and even bending moment at this location, and we are coming to this, but bending moment at this location will also be equal to zero. Except RA, which is 1, because you're applying the load directly to the support at A, so all of the load reaction would be coming from that support, so that would be equal to 1. So it means whenever you have to draw ILD for certain reaction, when the load is exactly at that reaction point, at that support point, you will get, of course, the unity value. All of the reaction would be produced from that. Let's confirm this from another point. If I apply a unit load at B, all other reactions would be 0 and only RB would be non-zero, which would be equal to 1. Let's verify this. When you apply a load over here, all of the load is transferred to the reaction at B and you see a unit value over here in the ILD. This is exactly what it means. And then RA, 0. Moment at this location, 0. But this RD is also 0. Now let's verify this from D. When you place the load at D, all other reactions are 0 and RD is equal to 1. So let's verify this. 0, 0, 0, and the only thing is that RD is 1. This makes the process simple enough. I mean, it means if you plot, if you can plot some points, you can join those points by a straight line, but it's important to know where to join those points. So I think this is the basic way, and as far as the bending moment at B is concerned, look at this. Once you know all these reactions, you will be able to calculate the bending moment at B. For example, in this particular case, when the load is at distance x and it is in AB region, you can see that there will be two forces. I'm not sure what exactly the equation should look like, but you can make an equation yourself. What it means, you have the load in AB region, and the load location is defined by distance x. You cut a section at B and find out the bending moment. The answer will of course be in terms of x. So you will get an expression for MB in terms of x. So you can plot that expression. Well, but what we see is that MB remains 0. I mean, whatever the reason is, whatever the expression was, it was independent of x, and that for that reason, we were ending up with a value which is equal to 0. I'm not able to, I'm of course able to do that, but I'm not going to tell you how to find bending moment at a certain location. You'll be able to cut a section over here. Sorry, this is not the case we are considering, this case. If you cut a section over here, draw the free body diagram of maybe the left part. This is RA and this is unity. And this distance is x. So this would be what? I'm sorry. This is not x. This is x. This is x. The location of the unit load is defined by distance x. And this is L. So this should be L minus x. Then you can find out the bending moment at this location. And that happens to be 0. Just happens to be 0. It means that the bending moment will be a flat line. This was RA. In this region. Because then the beam would be behaving like a simply supported beam, and we should see that the B end should not be able to resist any moment. Anyways, and then for the second case, this case, again, you will be getting a section over here and developing the equation for MB in terms of X and then plotting that expression. Okay. And then again for the third region, when the load is in CD region, again you will be cutting section at the same location because we are developing ILD for MB, the moment at B. So again you will be cutting a section over here and developing an equation, and then you can see that that equation can be plotted like this. So you have seen that the ILD is constructing ILD by this method requires considering different regions of the beam and developing equations for that load effect that would be applicable for that region of the beam. So the process is, based on the fundamental principles, basic principles, static, simple, find directions, find the bending moments, find the shear forces. But the only problem with this method is that it's a bit lengthy. You have to consider different regions, and then you need to develop the equations for those regions, and then you need to plot those equations. So the process is a bit lengthy. The easier way of doing this is by is a method called method of virtual work, and I'll be just demonstrating the application of that method without discussing the derivation of the method. ये बाकी कल कर लें, कल से मिला दें नेक्स्ट टाइम. बाकी नेक्स्ट टाइम कर लें.